Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Jess. I am a third grade teacher in Southern California. And today I am here. It is actually Saturday, November 16th. I had to look at the date on the board right now because I don't even know what the date is. We have conferences this next week, and I'm always curious what other districts provide for teachers for like preparing for things like this. So I love my district, I love my school, but one of the things that I don't love is that we get zero prep time. So we have to do all our own PE, art, science. We don't have music for the kids until 4th grade. I teach 3rd grades, obviously that doesn't help me. And we get library twice a month for 40 minutes, so every other week. And that was new last year. So we have zero prep time during the day most days, and we didn't get any prep time for report cards or getting ready for conferences. So like some surrounding districts around us had minimum days a couple days last week to get ready for their conferences. We did not. So we still had to teach full days, and then just on our own time had to get ready for conferences, which is very, very frustrating. And if you're a teacher, you know that getting ready for conferences is so much work. There's so much that goes into it. There's so much data to pull and papers to organize and notes to make, and planning goes into getting ready to have these conversations, some of them really tough, with parents about our students and their needs. And if you're like me and you're a teacher who is always over prepared and kind of gets a little bit nervous about conferences, which I think is pretty normal, I don't want to leave any page unturned. I want to make sure that I go into conferences 100% ready, knowing exactly what I'm talking about, having data to show, resources for parents to help their kids at home, and not having any prep time is just such a slap in the face. So I kind of went off on a rant there because I'm upset that I'm here on a Saturday when I'm like completely mentally and physically exhausted from some situations going on in my class right now that I can't talk about, and I really don't want to be here, but I have to be here because I have to get ready for this coming week. So a little upset about that, but I am curious, if you guys are teachers, do you guys get any prep time for report cards or conferences where students aren't there and you just have free work time when students would normally be there to get ready for getting your report cards ready and then getting your stuff ready for conferences? Is that like a normal thing that we don't get any prep time? Is that just like a my district kind of thing? I don't really know because I've only ever taught in this district. So let me know down below, if you're a teacher, how much prep time do you get for report cards and conferences? And if it's zero, like me, I am so sorry. You deserve much better than that. Off my soapbox. The reason that I brought my camera today is because I wanted to show you guys some of the things that I have done this week that have kind of made conferences a little bit easier for me and kind of helped me feel more prepared and ready for the conversations that I'm gonna have with parents this week. So I'm gonna be showing you guys all the things that I am getting ready for conferences this week. Oh my goodness, okay. My nails right now and my greasy hair are a visual representation of how this week went for me and how really I'm feeling right now. I'm gonna get my nails done before the conferences this week. Okay, anywho, the first thing I wanna show you guys is this sheet that came from a pack that I believe came from Pocketful of Primary. I will double check, but I'm almost positive it's Pocketful of Primary, and I will link it down below for you guys. And it is this paper that says it's conference time. So I'm gonna read to you guys what it says. It says, "Dear parents and guardians, I'm looking forward to meeting with you to discuss your child's progress in school this year. As you know, our conference time is limited. In an effort to make conferences as focused, productive, and satisfying as possible, I'm asking all parents to identify in advance those issues that are of great interest or concern to them. This will allow me to take your priorities into account as I plan each conference. Please take a few minutes to share your thoughts below." And it also has a note, "Please return this form by Friday, November 15th, which was yesterday. I totally dropped the ball this year, and I forgot to send these out until Thursday. So if you're a parent in my class watching this, I am so sorry. I am so sorry that I sent that out so late and only gave you a day to return it. I usually send it out a week in advance, but this year there's just been a lot going on, a lot. And I just did not remember that until almost too late." So then it has a bunch of questions. Well, not a bunch, it has 5 questions. But basically it just says to put the name of the student, name of the parent, how does your child feel about school? What, if any, work at school has your child expressed concern about? What are your child's strengths? What concerns do you have about your child's progress this year? And then there's a spot at the bottom for any additional comments. I absolutely love getting these back because it just gives me a really good idea of what the parents want to talk about. I'm kind of blabby, if you've watched any of my videos, you probably know that I talk a lot and I kind of get off on tangents and rants. And so especially when I'm nervous and when parents are coming in, it just is a nerve-wracking experience. Even though I'm the person in charge, I'm the professional, I'm the one that's kind of leading it, it's just kind of nerve-wracking. So having an idea of exactly what their concerns are or what they want to talk about or any troubles that they think their kids are having, anything at all, is super helpful for me when I'm planning what I'm going to be talking to them about, because I want to make sure that I'm not just sitting here blabbing to them, but I'm giving them an opportunity to hear about the things that they actually care about and want to know about. And it doesn't mean that that's what the whole conference is going to be about. I still want to share their data. I still want to share the growth they've made. I still want to share the areas that they still need to grow in, or maybe areas that they're struggling in. But it's super helpful, and it's also really nice to know that sometimes the parents put down the things that they're concerned about that are actually the things that I'm concerned about too. So it lets me know I don't need to be as concerned about having that conversation because it's not going to be a surprise. So that's really helpful for me as a teacher to know that I'm not coming into this conversation blindly. I know exactly what they want to talk about. And I have used this this is my 3rd year now using this. I have never had a parent not write something on here and then bring it up. Nothing that was like a big deal anyway. Like if they had something on their mind that they wanted to discuss, they always put it on here. So maybe I just get lucky in that sense, but that is like a saving grace. And that is just one of the many amazing things that is in that pack from Pocketful of Primary. Another one is a student self-evaluation. So this also helps with having those tough conversations, especially about behavior. I know those are conversations I don't enjoy having. And sometimes parents will put that on the It's Conference Time paper, the blue one I just showed you. But if they don't, then having this self-evaluation makes it not all on you, because the student is identifying things that they might be struggling with, or hopefully if they're honest, they're identifying things that they need to work on. So this says, well, you know what, let me just put this down and I'll turn you guys around so you can see, because it's kind of a lot. All right, so every student gets one of these. We do this all together in class, and I just have them go one by one and make their little checks. I don't give it to them and then have them go do it by themselves, because I want to make sure they understand what each question is asking. So up at the top, obviously their name goes here. And then for each question, there's a place for them to check never, sometimes, often, or always. And I just have them put a little X or check mark in the line before it. So I demonstrate a good work ethic, I give my best effort, I complete classwork and homework on time, I participate in the classroom, I work well with others, I'm able to solve problems on my own without giving up, I ask for help when I need it, I stay on task and finish my work, I listen attentively, I control my talking, I stay organized, I follow classroom and school rules, I take responsibility for my actions, I respect students and teachers, I demonstrate self-control, I think before I act, and I have a positive attitude. So this kind of covers all the bases for me as far as what kind of things I want my students to make sure they are doing. And if they're not, then we're going to have that honest conversation with their parents. And I feel like this helps kind of take the heat off me bringing it up. And it's not me saying, I feel like your child is doing this. It's me saying, this is what your child has identified that they need some help with, or they maybe need to improve on as far as their behavior is concerned. And that leads nicely into a conversation where it's not just all on me, if that makes sense. And then she has another page, and I just make it double-sided. And again, obviously their name goes here. And then they identify things that they do well. I have them pick 3 things that they could improve on, 1 goal they have for themselves, and then something that they want their teacher and family to know. And this lends itself perfectly to a letter that I have my students write to their parents. So this is done first, and then I'm gonna get up and walk you guys over to my board. So then, don't mind all this, I'm making a little display, but not right now. So we are writing a letter to our parents, or they already did actually write a letter to their parents. It's 5 paragraphs, but the first and the last paragraph are really just like 1 or 2 sentences. And this is perfect because in our first unit, we worked on friendly letters. So this is not just a letter to them, but it's also a writing sample. So it goes hand in hand and it's perfect. So the first paragraph, they are just welcoming their parents to their conference, literally just saying, "Dear Mom and Dad, thank you for coming to my conference," or "Welcome to my conference." The second paragraph is things that they are great at so far in the year. And over here we brainstormed, and a lot of it got erased yesterday. We did this earlier in the week, and then students were sitting up on the stage. So a lot of it got erased on the bottom. But we brainstormed as a class things that we have worked on this year and things that they could choose to write about, because I told them they are not allowed to just write, "Oh, I'm great at math and reading and writing." No. You need to be specific. If you're talking about math, are you great at the break apart and distribute strategy? Are you great at using tape diagrams? Are you great at decomposing? Are you great at number bonds? Are you great at doing arrays? Are you great at word problems? What about math are you doing great at? What do you feel good at? And we talk about all the time that just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you're going to be good at everything, and everyone struggles in different areas and excels in different areas. And it could be within the same subject. So I could be really good at multiplication and division and not be really good at 3-digit subtraction with regrouping or whatever, you know? So we brainstorm some things for them to write specifics on. That lends itself nicely to third paragraph as well, because they're writing things that they could improve on. And then the fourth paragraph are goals, and I told them they could write about goals that they have for school or goals out of school. I wanted them to write 2, and I told them 1 should at least be in school. So they could do 2 in school, but they can't do 2 out of school, because I want them to be telling their parents things that they want to achieve while they are here. And then the last paragraph is just thanking their parents for coming. So this, like I said, it not only gives their parents a really good glimpse into how their child is feeling about school, but it also shows them how well they understood our writing unit when we were working on a friendly letter. So then over here, I just wrote the little checklist that Wonders has about what your friendly letter should include. And then I just added at the bottom specific details. You cannot write, I'm good at math, reading, etc. You have to be specific from our brainstorming. And then I just want to show you guys this, it's conference time paper, because I was holding it as I was reading it. So if you didn't get a chance to see it, there are the questions. Again, this is in Pocket Full of Primaries pack. She has a ton of helpful stuff. She also has a paper that looks kind of like this, but the one that she had too many things on it. You know what? I had actually printed out last year and didn't use it, so let me go grab that and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is what that paper looks like. It has an area for you to determine for spelling, reading, literature, and informational, math, and any homework comments that you wanted to make, whether they're at below, on, or above grade level. There's a place for you to talk about their work habits, which basically looks like this, but you're commenting on it, not the students. And some of them are different. I think I actually changed some of these from the ones that she had because it's totally editable. But I decided not to use this last year because it just felt like a lot of work and I just kind of ran out of time. And then I have a little note on there. Thank you for sharing your child with me this year. Let's work together to make the rest of the year great. So super helpful if you have time. I did not have time, but this is also something that she includes in her pack. But instead of using that one, I just found this for free. This is from my friend Maylene at Miss Calls Campers, and hers is totally editable too. So this felt a little bit more manageable for me. Instead of having to write kind of a grade, I could just make notes. So I have a section, wow, your child is awesome at, oh my God, I just saw my nails again. So gross. I need to go today to get a manicure. Don't judge me. Okay, so there's a place for you to put things that their child is awesome at, any areas for improvement, ways that you can help at home. And this is one thing that I'm really excited is on here because we use a lot of online programs like Zern, and a lot of the kids are behind on it. So having a place to talk about that. Also reading. A lot of my kids this year are not reading as much as they should be and are pretty much not reading at home at all. So I definitely want to make sure that I address that. And then any place for concerns or any notes from the conference. I'm going to give this to the parents too afterwards. So if they wanted to make any notes about, you know, things that they wanted to look into or whatever, they have a place to do that. And then at the bottom, I just put, thank you for sharing your amazing child with me this year. So I'm going to use this one instead because this is a little bit more manageable for me and I don't have to fill in every box. Obviously, I'm going to fill in the top 2 for sure. If there's any way that the parent can help at home specifically, I'm going to put that in there. But in a minute, I'm going to show you something that I included in every single student's folder, because I have little folders right here that I can only show you this bit because they have names on the sticky notes. So each of these is full of different pages and data and resources that I want to give to the parents. So in each one of those is a resource list for parents that I'll show you in just a minute that gives them in general ideas of websites they can use and ways they can help with math and reading at home. And then if there's anything more specific that I want to tell parents about what they can do to help, then I'll write it here. So again, this is from Maylene at Mrs. Calls Campers. Love her. So I'm going to probably fill these out today. I still haven't decided if I'm going to use these 100%. I think what I'm going to do is just fill out the ones for the conferences that I have on Monday. And then Monday after my conferences, I'll fill out the one for Tuesday. But I don't know, that sounds like so much work. I'm gonna be so tired. I'm just gonna wanna go home. So I don't know. I'm gonna start with the ones for Monday, and then if I don't have the energy or time to do it Monday for the ones Tuesday, then I just won't. So it just is nice to know that I have this as an option if I want to use it, which I think I will end up using it actually now that I'm thinking about it. My goodness, this is how my brain works, just jumping all over the place, because this is going to be a great guide for the conference instead of, again, me just rambling, kind of like I'm doing right now. Oops, sorry. And keep me focused on my conversations in conferences. So I will leave a link to both of these down below, the one from Missed Calls Campers, and then all these goodies from A Pocket Full of Primary in that pack so that you can use it if you want to as well. Okay, I also want to share with you guys some of the resources that I give to every parent. I put every single one of these things I'm going to show you guys in every single folder for parents to take home, just so they have a clear understanding of what the expectations are for 3rd grade, because it is very different from when they went to school. I know that for a fact because it's different from when I went to school, and I know if you're a teacher, you've heard parents complain about the differences between back then and now, especially with Common Core. So I feel like this is helpful for parents. So one of the things I give them are all the different standards that 3rd grade students are expected to know. On one side, I put all of the different math standards that students are expected to know by the end of 3rd grade. And on the other side is ELA, and as you can see, there's a lot more of them. I will link down below where this came from. It came from commoncoregaloreandmore.com. That is a mouthful. But I feel like it's just helpful for parents to see all that is expected of their child and all that they are learning. And I just give this to them if they want to take it home and go through it so they know what each different piece of the report card means. So when they say reading, literature, reading informational, language, writing, foundational skills, they know exactly what that means. And if they have any questions, they can of course ask me, but this is a good starting point for them so they know kind of what those grades mean. So if their child is getting a 3, 2, or a 1, because we're on a standards-based grading system, they can see a 4 would mean that they are understanding all of these standards by the end of the year. So I feel like that's helpful. Maybe it's not, but I'm going to continue doing it. Parents have appreciated it in the past. And then something else that I created, I can't remember where I found this. I believe I found it on a website and I just copied the text and then put it into a Word document. But on one side, it's ways to help their kids with math. Not necessarily like, oh, here is a lesson for how to teach the distributive property of multiplication, but more just in general of how to help their child make sense of math and kind of how to make a more math-friendly environment at home. A lot of parents have said to me before, like, oh, I just don't understand why we're doing math a new way. I don't understand why I can't teach them the way that I learned. And so one of the things that was important to me to include in there were asking their child to explain the strategy that they learned at school, telling them, I want to learn from you. And then if they're really not getting it, both the child and parent are having some kind of disconnect. A lot of parents have told me that the kids get upset and are saying like, that's not how we learned it. We can't do it that way. And so I am very, very, very explicit when I'm talking to my kids and my parents by saying, this is not a different way. You know, we're not teaching a different concept. So if you have a way to teach your child and they're not understanding it the way that they're learning it at school, please, please feel free to teach them the way that you know it. Because at the end of the day, we are teaching them a bunch of different strategies for the same things. And the way that we are teaching at school is going deeper. But if they're not even understanding the base level of it, please feel free to help them with whatever way you know how. Some of the other things listed are using Embark. So I emailed out Embark at the beginning of the year and then at the beginning of every unit. And Embark has tons of different resources for every single lesson. They have homework help, so all the answers to the homework so parents can double check like if we're on the right track. There's videos for every single lesson. So if the kid wants to watch it again because they're not understanding, or if the parent wants to watch it, or if the parent and child want to watch it together so they can figure out what's going on in their math homework, then that's great. I also included on here, if the child is completely stuck, just send a note with a few words explaining where they got stuck. That way I know that your child needs help and I can address any issues. And I tell parents at back to school night and at conferences, please do not spend more than 20 minutes on math homework. If you are spending more than 20 minutes, just stop, because I don't want this to be a thing where like your child is spending an hour or more just sitting there frustrated and it turns into a fight with the parent and the child. I never want it to be like that. It is just supposed to reinforce and kind of be a practice of the thing that they learned at school. And so if they're having that hard of a time and taking that long, they're not getting it. And sitting there you know, crying and frustrated over it is not going to help them understand. So please don't have them do that. It's okay. I would rather them not have their homework done and try it, and you let me know where they needed help or where they got stuck, and then I can help them in a small group the next day, rather than them just getting frustrated. And then they're going to have a really negative relationship with math, and they're also probably going to have a negative relationship with school. I definitely don't want them to have a negative relationship with their parents fighting over homework. So I will slowly go over this really quick, not reading it all to you. So if you want to just pause the video and read this, go ahead. All right, I'm also going to show you the backside, which is pretty much the same, but how they can help with reading. Again, this is not like, oh, here's a lesson on digraphs. Your child is stuck on that part of phonics. Not at all. We will deal with that at school. And if parents want resources like that, I always tell them those are always available. I can print out their next lessons on iReady for you, and you can do those at home. But oftentimes they're kind of confusing for parents, and that's not really what they're looking for. I don't really need them to do that. What I would really rather them do are these kind of things. Buy books for their kids, interesting books that are going to appeal for them. Read in front of their kids, maybe have a family reading time where they all read together. Encourage them to write letters or send emails. Practicing reading and writing go hand in hand. Making something with their children, playing board games, anything like that that requires them to be reading in a way that's kind of more fun. Reading the TV guide, reading recipes when they cook, anything like that. Going to the library definitely would be helpful. And then praising them, because reading is hard work and it can be super challenging, and praising them every little step of the way is super helpful. So again, I am going to kind of just slowly go over this. If you want to pause the video so you can read any of these things, I'm not going to read them out loud to you. All right, hopefully that was enough time. And then something else that my team came up with either last year or the year before is this little list of interactive resources to support their child at home. So in the past, my district has been, well, we still are one-to-one, but the kids now have to leave their Chromebooks here because so many of them were getting broken, or they were forgetting their Chromebooks at home, so they weren't bringing them back and forth, and then it was just like a nightmare because they didn't have them when we needed them at school. So now my kids can check out Chromebooks from the district and they can have one at home, but they always keep theirs at school too. But pretty much every one of my kids has like a tablet or a computer or an iPad or something at home. They all have phones. They have nicer phones than I do. So they have access to the internet at home, whether we provide a Chromebook or not, for the most part. So this is just if they wanted something for their child to be able to do. I listed some math and then ELA websites that they can use. Some of them you need a login for. Some of them they can access through Clever from their email address through the district, and then some of them don't need a login. They can just go on and play different games, either math and ELA. But I thought this would be helpful because, you know, we always talk about in this day and age that kids are always on some kind of technological device. So giving them options that are educational and giving parents those resources for what they could have their kids do that is educational, I think is helpful. I hope is helpful. So that's just kind of like a basic overview of some of the things that I have in their folders that aren't specific to students or don't have student writing on them or student data on them. Obviously, I can't flip around and show you stuff in here because there is student information on a lot of this stuff. But I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the other things that I put in here so you know kind of what data I show parents. So the first thing that I have on there is their report card. Okay, the next thing on there, I'm trying to figure out how to show you guys this without the name, so I'm just going to put a marker on there. So at the very beginning of the school year, we do a fluency test with every single student. So, oh, I didn't realize they're double-sided. So I made copies for the second copy. Oh well. So the first one is from the very beginning of the school year, and then we just did another one this week. It's not for the same story. Oh, that's why I made a second copy. See, I'm losing my mind. I'm just so tired. I shouldn't be here. It's okay. So the next one that we did was for the second trimester. Again, don't mind the marker, covering student name. But it is the same exact test, but a different story, so that I can show parents how much students have grown. So this specific student, the very beginning of the year, they were reading 103 words per minute with 99% accuracy. The second time, they were reading 136 words with 99% accuracy. And then what I really like about showing parents their oral reading fluency is that there's a little comprehension check too. So On this paper, it's hard trying to figure out how to cover this. At the bottom, where is it? Okay. At the bottom right here, it says for fall, winter, and spring, exactly what third graders should be reading at words per minute wise at each point in the year. So in the fall, students should only be expected to read about 71 words per minute. And a lot of times if parents see a number that's higher than that, they get really excited. However, it's important for me to share with parents that fluency is not about reading as fast as you can. Fluency is about reading fast enough or slow enough to be able to understand the text. So this particular student read significantly more words, but when we did the comprehension check, both the first and second time, she didn't fully understand what the story was about. So that's a conversation to have with parents, that it's not just about reading fast because your student is not reading slow enough to understand the text. So that's really valuable data for me to have conversations with the parents about fluency, and that now that they're in third grade, they're not struggling with their reading at all. They're able to decode every word, but now we're really focused on comprehension. So being able to share some of those comprehension strategies that I think each student could work on. And this is where data from iReady really comes in handy too, because iReady has a lot of great resources that I can share with parents about maybe next steps for this particular student. We did an iReady diagnostic at the very beginning of the year, and we don't have another one until I think December, maybe January. We come back from break. I don't remember. I hope January. I don't want it in those 2 weeks between Thanksgiving break and Christmas break. But I can put on that sheet. Where'd it go? I've moved it already, but that sheet that says like, wow, your child is awesome at areas they can improve, and then resources or whatever it said, I can put on there like, oh, we need to focus on this. And then I can just print out those lessons from iReady and say, if you want to at home, when your child is reading just like silent reading for homework, this is something that you can do to have them do a comprehension check, or this is like a lesson that you can work on with them to help them improve their comprehension. So I think that that is really valuable. I love that I have from the very beginning of the year and then right now where they're at, so I can show growth too. It's not just, oh, this is what your child's reading right now, especially for the students who are struggling with reading, because every single one of them has made growth. And if you remember from my phonics instruction video, students should be making about 1.1 words of growth per week with the intervention groups that we're doing. So even if the student has only grown, 10 or 11 words, that is significant growth, and that's exactly where they should be. So I love that we can show both pre and post. I guess not pre and post, but from the beginning of the year to now, so that I can show parents, look how much growth they've made, not just celebrating where they're at now, but look how far they've come. So I love that. Then here's the self-evaluation. And then one other thing that I put in there is we just did a standards mastery test on iReady, and to print it out, it prints out one question per page. So what I just did is I just used the snipping tool on my computer, and I just put it on a PowerPoint. So up at the top, what I'm covering is the little chunk that says their name and then the percent they got and the date they took it. But this is great information to show parents what style of questions their child is being asked. So this one was on multiplication and division. But you can see these questions are not just like, oh, what's 5 times 8? That first one has 5 different questions that students have to put a number in the blank to see if that number sentence is true. So I really like doing this because I feel like parents don't always know, and why would they know? Because school was so different when they were in school. But things have changed a lot, and no longer is it just I need them to have their multiplication tables memorized. They need to be able to really think critically, and these kind of questions really match the CASP state test too. So the reason I printed this out was to show them what kinds of style of questions they could practice at home. Of course, I told them we practice these at school too. This is not just the only time they're going to see it is during testing. We practice these. However, if your child is struggling on a certain style of question, that's absolutely something that you could practice at home. That would be really helpful for them. So I have one of those for each, and we've only taken one standards mastery so far. And then I have the first page of the PDF for their diagnostic results from the beginning of the year for iReady for both math and reading, because I want to be able to show them where they're at. So it is a little bit unfortunate that we don't have like a pre and post for iReady. We only have the diagnostic from the beginning of the year. That was a big complaint from teachers in my district this year, because my district promised us that we were going to be able to take that second diagnostic before report cards and before parent conferences, so we could show them this is where they started at the beginning of the year, working on iReady, this is where they're at. However, I feel like I have a lot of data, so it doesn't really matter. And I always tell parents, I'm going to be sending home the results from the second diagnostic whenever we take it, either December or January. So keep a lookout for those. Put these on your fridge, save them somewhere so you can compare where they were and where they are now. But one thing that I also put on that document from Maylene that I decided I am going to use, I am going to be putting how many iReading lessons they are passing per week for both math and reading. We have about 45 minutes, sometimes about 50 for both subjects on iReady a week, depending if they're in a small group or not, for math or reading. So they should be passing at least one lesson per week in both subjects, depending on the length of the lesson. Some of the lessons are 45 minutes, some of them are 15 minutes. So if they're doing 15-minute lessons, they should have 3 lessons passed a week, you would think. And a lot of my students are not passing as many lessons as they should, or not even completing as many lessons, which leads me to believe that A, they're getting stuck, which I can see on iReady. And if they're not getting stuck, then maybe we're just not staying as focused as we should be. So that's a conversation that I can have with parents too. So it does take a little bit of work to look at that, but having that sheet from Maylene where you can just document everything so you make sure you don't forget anything is helpful. And then we took 2 assessments, one on multiplication, on just like a multiplication chart, covering the name again. So we give this to students. I gave them 5 minutes to complete as much as they could. They, at this point of the year, are supposed to be able to solve 1 through 4s. Obviously, this student got a lot further than that, so that's awesome. And most of them were correct too. We do a daily multiplication test, which I also share with parents, so like they can see exactly what number their student is on for the whole year. But this is a really good thing for me to be able to show parents, because at the end of the year, they should be able to fill out the whole thing in 5 minutes or less. And then we also did this other test. One of them is subtraction. So the problems get progressively harder. Towards the bottom, they have to regroup. And then the back side is the same, but with addition. Gets progressively harder with regrouping. And that's really good for parents to see what their child is able or not able to do. I really love using this too, because a lot of times on the students who are struggling, it gives me an opportunity to really celebrate them if they can do this. And then in here I have those resources I already shared with you guys. And then our school has us put a administrator's pledge, teacher's pledge, student's pledge, and parent pledge. Basically, I'm going to cover my school's name. Basically just what each party is supposed to be doing to make sure that the student is going to be successful. At the bottom there's a place to sign, and then on the back are the 16 PBIS skills, so parents are aware of what is expected of their child while they're at school behaviorally. Now that I'm looking through this, it doesn't feel like as much as I thought it was when I was sorting all these papers, because it felt like it took me 5 years to do this. Also, I need to go print out their letters to their parents. I have them type them on a Google Doc, so I will add those in here. But that is basically what I show parents at conferences. Also, for my students who I did show you guys earlier in that year on that phonics video, and I'll link it down below if you guys want to check it out so you guys know what I'm talking about. I showed you guys this document, which is a phonics screener. So every student on the oral reading fluency who did not meet the grade level expectation for words correct per minute were given a phonics screener. And then depending on what task they landed in, we were doing small groups. So we have 7 teachers in 3rd grade. So each teacher took a task and took the students that were in that task, and the rest of the students were either working on iReady or were silent reading. And every single student made so much growth. Like, I was crying halfway through. We did progress monitoring because they didn't make that much growth, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm ruining them. I'm not teaching them what they're supposed to be doing. I'm not equipping them well. And I like had a mental breakdown, kind of. Not really, but I was kind of upset. But then 3 weeks later, when we did the post-test, they all grew at least 2 tasks. At least 2 tasks. Which, if we're only focusing on, come on, for example, task 3, right here my gross finger is, for consonant digraphs, and we're working on that for 6 weeks, and the expectation is that at the end of 6 weeks they could totally nail consonant digraphs. But task 4 is CVCC and CCVC words. Try saying that 5 times fast. That was a mouthful. That has nothing to do with consonant digraphs. So if we haven't given them any instruction in that, the expectation should be that they wouldn't really be equipped to tackle that yet. Maybe because they're getting iReady lessons on it, but it wouldn't be necessarily expected that they would know that. So the students that I were working with were working on task 3, consonant digraphs, and every single one of them at least got to task 5. Some of them got to task 6. One of them got all the way down to task 9, multi-syllable words, and completely tested out of needing to be in a reading group. I was so excited. So I cannot find where I put those, but I do have a document on my computer where I had all the information organized. Artosa put that together for us because she's incredible. Thank you, Kim. But what I just did is I printed out however many of these I needed. I think I have 8 students who were in that group. And I'm just gonna take 2 different colored markers, and I am going to highlight the task that they were in at the beginning, and I have it written down on sticky notes where they started. And then I'm gonna highlight the task that they finished on so I can show parents and really celebrate that growth and hard work that the students put in to where they are now. Because it can be kind of scary showing parents iReady data saying, hey, your child is performing at a kindergarten or first grade level. If that were my child, that would be kind of alarming, right? But we have a very detailed system in place for how to help them grow and showing them this is where they landed. However, this is what we have been working on them with. This is the progress that they've made. To me, that's amazing. As a parent, I would feel like, okay, it's not just like, you know, we're not doomed here. They are still making growth. They might not be at grade level. However, the goal is not for them to just be at grade level. If they're performing at a kindergarten or first grade level and they make a year's worth of growth, if they end at first or second grade, depending on where they started, that is growth, that is progress. And not every child is developmentally ready for the content that we are teaching, but what systems do you have in place to help them fill those gaps and get there? So I'm excited this year for conferences. I'm more excited for the kids who are struggling with reading than the kids who are not, because I have so much data to show their parents and they all made such awesome growth. I can't wait to celebrate them. So I'm gonna take care of that right now. I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple other things. Oh, here we go. I'll just do it right now. One thing that's really different from when we meaning like parents age people went to school and kids right now is that we use standards-based grading. So it's not percentage-based. It is for some things like spelling, vocab kind of, depending on how we're assessing it. And that's pretty much it. So everything else is standards based on a 4-3-2-1 system. And I want parents to be able to know and have something to show them so they can visualize what that means. Because parents kind of get concerned when they see 1s and 2s on the report card. 1s are concerning. However, 2s mean that students can do it. They just need teacher support. So I always want parents to know that a 4 does not mean an A, a 3 does not mean a B, a 2 does not mean a C, and a 1 does not an F. It does not correlate to the grades that we are used to seeing, at least not in elementary school. So a 4 means that I can do it without mistakes. I can help others. A 3 means I can do it by myself. I might make little mistakes, but I need very little teacher support. 2 means sometimes I need help. I am starting to understand. So this means they can get it. They just need some guidance to help them get it. And that's perfectly acceptable at this point in the year. And then 1 means I can't do it by myself and I don't understand yet. So I feel like having this on the table, I don't give this to every parent, I just have it out for conferences. So before we go over the report card, I can show them and remind them, do not be alarmed if you see 2s, that's okay. That means at this point in the year, they still need help, which is great. I'm gonna go turn the lights on. 1 second, please. Being at school alone on a weekend is kind of scary. So having the lights turned off is especially spooky. I did not like that. I did want to mention one thing really quick. If you are a first year teacher and you are watching this going, oh my gosh, I don't have any of those things. I feel underprepared. I did not have any of these things my first year either. And feel free to steal anything. I will link everything that I can down below. If it was something that I created, feel free to copy it word by word. I don't mind at all. Know that nobody expects you to have all this stuff. Everybody knows you're first year teacher. It's okay. You are still learning. You are still growing. There are no expectations of you to have everything together like this. This is a lot. This has been years in the making of getting all these resources and really feeling prepared and confident and ready for conferences. My first year, I had a mild panic attack the night before conferences because I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what kind of questions the parents are going to ask. I don't know what they're going to want to talk about. I'm just scared. And I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. So they're right to have those questions. But know this, it's okay to not know everything. If a parent asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, it's okay to say, you know what, let me write that down, and do write it down so you don't forget to get back to them on it. Let me look it up, let me find the answer, let me find the person who I can direct you to get the answer. I'm gonna figure this out. If I don't know it, I will figure it out for you. It's okay to say that. You don't have to have all the answers, and definitely don't try to make up an answer if it's something that you really don't know, because that will make you look a lot worse than just saying, I don't know, but I'll figure it out for you, okay? You are not a walking encyclopedia. You do not need to have all the answers for everything, okay? Know that. It's gonna be okay. Even if you have a conference that is a disaster, it will be over in 15 to 20 minutes and then you can breathe again. So it's okay. Take a deep breath. It's gonna be fine. If you are a first year teacher and you're really not sure how to have parents pick their times for conferences and you don't wanna play, the puzzle game of trying to figure out how to schedule everyone, I would highly recommend using something like signup.com. My school has Parent Portal this year, which is brand new. I don't even know how to explain it. It's linked to our Illuminate system where we take attendance, and it's amazing. We have sign-up sheets. It's even easier than doing signup.com because you don't have to set each individual time. I can just say, I want my conferences to start at 12:30 and I want them to end at 3 o'clock. I want them to be 15-minute increments and I want 5 minutes in between each, and then it'll set it up for me, send it out to parents. They can pick it on their own. So super, super simple. I didn't have to play any kind of like Tetris with it, as my friend Vanessa said in her video. So that's how I pick conferences. Oh, one other thing I want to share with you guys. Jessie from Cooties and Cuties, which if you guys saw my Fear Factor video, you guys know I love her and she has amazing resources. She posted something on Instagram the other day that she was going to play Truth or Dare with her parents at conferences to try to kind of bring down that affective filter and just make it like a easier experience for parents and kind of ease into those tough conversations so that everyone feels comfortable, and just make parents feel comfortable and welcome and kind of have people laughing before you get started so it kind of eases that tension. So if the parents want to participate, if they pick Dare, then she has a box of like Bean Boozled jelly beans, the ones that have like, it could be marshmallow flavored or it could be vomit, and if the parents pick Dare, they can pick out one of those jelly beans and eat it, and then it's just kind of silly, especially if the kid's there. If the kid was not there, I would not do Truth or Dare. That wouldn't be fun. That would be just awkward, I think. And if they pick Truth, then she had a bowl that had like little pieces of paper folded up with questions on them, and they were all related to the parents' experience in school. So like silly things that the kids would probably get a kick out of. So the questions that her kids came up with were, what was your favorite thing about third grade? Were you ever sent to the principal's office? I think that one would be really fun for the kids to watch their parents kind of fluster over, especially if the kid has had behavior problems. That would be fun. What is your favorite memory of elementary school? What was your dream job when you were in third grade? What's your most embarrassing memory from school? And who was your favorite teacher? So you could have your kids come up with different questions if you wanted to, but I think that that would really be like a fun way for you all to have this like bonding shared experience and kind of ease that tension of conferences a little bit. So I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet. We only have 15 minutes for conferences and I do have a lot of stuff to go over with parents. Maybe I'll ask my kids on Monday if they want to do it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And I just realized when I went to her Instagram that she didn't actually have a bowl of questions. That was something that I was thinking about using, but she had like this wheel that you can spin. I don't know if you guys can see that or if I'm too close. So the parents, if they chose Dare, then they would just spin that wheel and then whatever it landed on, she had different things on there. Yeah, the different questions. So it just says like most embarrassing, favorite teacher, best memory, dream job, principal's office. So it's not the whole question. There's not room obviously, but I don't know. She wrote on there, if you're feeling nervous, sweaty, awkward during conferences, this is a last minute, literally 5 minutes, fun, relaxing way to start conferences. At the beginning of each conference, parents were asked if they would like a Truth, spin the wheel of fun, school-themed questions, or Dare, Bean Boozled. Most parents chose Truth, but a few brave parents chose Dare. This game took a whopping 60 seconds at the beginning of each conference, and it was such a nice way to set the mood for a calm, relaxing, supportive environment. It helped me see the sweet relationships my families have too. Okay, I think I'm sold. I think I want to do it. And I think if I tell my kids, they're all going to be like, yeah, that sounds fun. So I think we could do it. And I was thinking like, I have one of those spinning wheel things, but it has points on it for our house system right now. So I don't want to change that and I don't have a lot of time, but I could easily put those questions on a piece of paper and just put them in a bowl. That would take no time at all. I just have to go get one of the Bean Boozled bags. So I think I'm going to do it. So I have been here like an hour doing this vlog so far and have not got any of the stuff done that I have to get done for conferences that I came to do. So I think I'm going to end this vlog here. I hope that something in this was helpful and that you guys are feeling ready and excited for your parent conferences. Remember that conferences can be scary for you, but they can also be scary for families. They are coming to hear the news about how their child is doing, and you have to remember that their child are their babies and their whole world. And you have to remember that as you are talking to the parents, even if there are issues that you need to discuss, because at the end of the day, this is their baby. So I was talking to my friend Vanessa from my second grade life the other day, and she was talking about doing like a compliment sandwich. So if you have tough news to break, start with something good, compliment the student in some way, stick in the bad news, end it with another compliment. So that way you're still delivering the news you have to, but it kind of softens the blow a little bit, and it also lets your parents know that you do care about their child and that you do notice the awesome things about them, and that you're not just here to like get them in trouble or tell on them, or like that you're not just frustrated with them. You do care about them, you do love them, and because you love them, you want them to get help with whatever issue they have. So I hope that all your conferences go amazing. If you're already done with conferences, I'm jealous. Wish me luck for conferences this year, and let me know if you guys have any other tips, tricks, resources, anything that you love that really help conferences go smoothly, and anything that creates a positive experience for both parties. Leave them down below, and I hope that you guys at the end of this week have a wonderful Thanksgiving break. I hope you guys get the whole week off. We get the whole week off, thank goodness. I did want to quickly mention before I let you guys go, I'm going to be doing a Q&A video soon, so I'm going to have a little question box on Instagram, so I'm going to give Instagram a chance to ask me questions, but I also wanted to give you guys an opportunity to ask me questions as well, so feel free to ask me anything, school related, not school related, really anything, and I will do my best to answer all your questions in a future video. Should be coming in a couple weeks. I'm planning on filming it over Thanksgiving break. So if you have any burning questions that you want to know about me, leave them down below and I will write them down to make sure I answer them in a coming video. And with that, it is time to go. Thanks for watching. Bye!